Hi guys, welcome to Dewdrops. My name is Beth. It has been a little bit since I have done my last video, and there's a good reason why. I have discovered my daughter is highly allergic to resin, and I am in the process of trying to figure out the best way to handle this. But in the meantime, I decided to do this last video here that was one of my favorite pieces. And it's actually pretty simple. What we're doing here is we're making the frame and we're making 2 hearts. And then once that is done, we're going to put that together. We're going to use Dewdrops Resin UV resin, and we just put it in the mold and cure it. And then you do the same thing with the hearts. These pieces are so much fun to make. Everybody's going to be like, how did you do that? It's kind of like a magic trick. Once you see how it's done, you know exactly how to do other things like it. So I'm just using this little pick to put my resin in because they're very small areas. So it's all little tiny drips that you're going to put in there. And then we're going to cure that. And then after we get it all out, we're going to use some resin tape and set up how we want things to lay within this piece. This is brand new resin tape by Resiners. It's very sticky, but unfortunately it does leave a little bit of a residue. So you're going to see here, I'm putting on the square and I'm doing it in a diamond shape or layout, I should say. And then I'm going to take each one of the hearts, and the point of the heart is facing out. You can do it the other way if you prefer it. I just like the way it looks. And I'm just centering it so it's evenly spaced. And then once you get them in there, you just press them down because they're on tape and they're not going to go anywhere. And we're going to put that aside. Now we're going to make the metal inserts. I am using flat 1mm wire. It is 30 gauge, so it's very, very fine. But it's perfect for this style. And I'm straightening it, and you just got to take your time while you're doing it, and it does straighten. Your fingers will get dirty from it, but this is such a fun piece to make. Now I am making little, I guess you'd want to call them, it's almost like petals. But what we're going to do is we're going to make these, and I just made a bunch of them. You're going to need probably 6 or 8 of these, maybe not quite that many. But what we're going to do is we're going to take these little petals and cut them in half. And then we're going to use each half within the piece. And I will show you how to do that in just a moment. And you see how I've cut them apart. Now you can use the earring bezels. Some people like to make their own and others don't. So here we go. We're going to add our first piece of wire in there, and you're going to see how the curve is going to be on the top, and you're going to push it all the way against the edge. Not hard because the wire will bend. You just need to put a little bit of pressure on it. And you're going to keep building from there. You're going to mirror what you're doing on the other side too. And that is what I'm doing right now. Mirroring the first 2 pieces. And now I'm going to be putting the second piece on there, and that is going to start your pattern of your grass, your leaves, whatever you want to call it. Design. I kind of call them grass the way that they look, but I just love how this turns out. And you're going to keep building until you get to where you only have a middle section left. And you're going to take that last piece and lay it differently. You're going to lay it flat with the curve up. So you'll see there, I've got 4 pieces going 2 in one direction, 2 in the other direction. And then you see in the middle how I laid that in between those 4 pieces. And it's straight up and down. It's not, you see how I did that? And it's a little bit taller. You want it a little bit higher than the rest of them. And then once you have that in there, we're going to add some resin. Now you're not going to want to add a ton of resin. You're going to want to cover the bottom. Now you can see there really close what I did. Hopefully, anyway. Yeah, there we go. I think it's pretty. Even now, I just love it. You see how I did each piece. So now we're going to add the resin. And like I said, it's really important that you don't add too much resin because you will have bubbles galore. They just collect around the wire pieces. So I use my little brush and I pull out as many bubbles as I can. And then we're going to cure it. And I use the curing machine for this one. Now we are going to make our infinity sign. You roll it all the way till it meets the other side, or as my grandson says, until it kisses. And then you do the same exact thing except for you go the other way after you cut it off. You can see how I did that. And you're going to cut it off approximately a centimeter above the loop. And that's usually about the length that you need to do your next one, your next loop. So like I said, you go the opposite direction and curve it around until it meets. And sometimes it gets a little weird, so you have to flatten it. And so I flatten it, and there we have it. It's as simple as that. Now we're going to take it and we're going to place it in between the hearts there. You can do it whatever direction you want. It works either way. It's all in preference. I did dip it in a little resin and now I'm curing it in place. Now I'm going to add more resin and I'm going to fill up these different areas. And make sure you do not get resin on the inside of your heart. Those are supposed to be empty spaces. And you're going to just see it just takes a little bit of time and patience to be able to put the resin in there. And like I said, you're not going to want to put a ton in because you don't want to create bubbles. Layers are the only way to combat that. I do use a lighter. Sometimes I do use a heat gun. But majority of the time, I just use a lighter and pull my bubbles out with my brush. Now I am literally just flipping it over on the tape. And this way we have something to hold on to while we are working on the back. I am putting resin on there just to make sure if there's any holes or bubbles that have popped and you need to fill them, and I do that. That's the reason why I put the resin on the back. And now I'm going to be using some gilding paste, and I love this stuff. This stuff is wonderful. It's like a gel, and you can build it. If you want your colors to have texture to it, you just change the way you put it down, and you can build it by doing little layers. I am using Let's Resin Chameleon Flakes. I am using brown yellow, pink olive, violet aqua, and violet blue. I am very determined to get good blues on this one. Now you're going to see how I'm putting the flakes on. For the yellow, brown, and the pink olive, I am sticking more towards the center of the piece. And then I will be putting the violet aqua and violet blue around the whole piece. And that's how I get that distinctive blue look. It's really beautiful. It takes a little learning and practice on how to do this, but be patient with yourself and you will definitely figure it out. I don't use a lot at any one given time. These pieces aren't that big, and so you really don't need a lot. You just need to spread it around. And when you're putting it on, you need to be so gentle with it. The only colors that I recommend you pushing a little bit onto it are the pink, and the olive pink and the brown yellow. Now we're tamping it in and burnishing it in. And then we're cleaning up our area, which I love doing it on these cloths. It makes such a difference. And now we're going to cover it with some resin and cure that in. Wait till you see how pretty it is. It's amazing how close it came to the other pieces. Normally my pieces look so different, even when I use the same color. Now we're going to put the back on. And what I'm doing is I'm taking some resin and I'm going to cure it for maybe 10 to 15 seconds at the most. And that'll leave it very sticky so that we can put our chrome powder on there. And we are doing the blue chrome powder. I love this blue. I use it all the time for so many things. But mostly backings. When you put a backing on, if you put black on, it's going to be very intense, the colors. But when you add a color to it, especially these chrome colors, it shines through the back because it is translucent, the Chameleon flakes. And now we're going to cover this with resin and cure it. After we cure this, we are going to be putting the bail on. Now I'm using the spoon bail that is bought. Normally I make my own bails, but for this piece I decided just to use the simple spoon bail. Now I'm using high viscosity, not low viscosity, high viscosity Let's resin. And because it cures very quickly and it cures very hard. So we're just putting it on the corner that I think it looks best. And then I'm going to cure it. And you notice that I do it with my piece right side up. And the reason for that is so that I can know exactly where it's supposed to be. So many times I have put my bail on and it's in the wrong place. It's crooked or it's not centered properly where I wanted it. So I started doing it backwards and it works beautifully. Now we're going to add more resin to the front. And this is where we're going to build our resin. Look how beautiful that is. The colors are phenomenal. Oh my goodness, that is so pretty. Wait till you see this. Can you believe it? Look how beautiful that is. It was so much fun to make. I am hoping to be back very soon. I have to get my new studio area set up outside in the garage, so it may take me a little time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. Please like and subscribe. I will hopefully see you very, very soon.